hi Leon, I'm just going to ask you a few questions about my survey. To start with, for my second question, I asked you which image was more appealing, and you picked that one. Why so?
Because I feel much more intrigued in worlds that feel a lot more realistic. The difference between the two are that they're both very interactive and very fun games, but the left one gave a more of an Assassin's Creed feel, as of which it felt like it was somewhere that not only was close to home, but actually more real and as of which more immersive.
Okay, for the second one, everyone including you picked a 3D character they liked more than a 2D character. Why do you prefer 3D characters to 2D characters?
2D characters are nice, but they're also a bit simplistic. I can see how they get a bit of a niche feel, but not only do they create a limitation for also creativity, but also when it comes to character expression, they're not very complex in their descriptions that three dimensions can offer.
The third question is, for my other question, I asked, do you prefer to play fighting games at night or daytime? And you picked night. Why do you prefer to play fighting games at night time?
Well, I suppose it's just more a matter of simply I got stuff to do. But to be honest, I find it similar to more similar to the cinema experience. When you have something that's just solely to offer with, then if you have something that you only have to focus with, then that's why that's the only thing you're going to focus on. That's why often in say workspaces in office blocks, while people may decorate desks, the office block in question is often a bit bland and dry because they don't want people to get distracted. They want people to hone in on their work, like how people want to hone in on games.
Another question I asked was, what point of view do you prefer in a game? And you answered first person. Why do you like to play games in first person?
I think it's two reasons. One, because the camera's always been able to. You can predict where the camera's going to move. Like when you take a left, obviously you're going to keep going left. You can the surroundings that you're able to see or can become more detailed, especially with how much you focus on something. And two, I think I'm not so certain how this is true in coding, but I think it's possible that it also saves time and effort because if you focus your perspective on one aspect of say a room and see it, then you can't really see the back of the room, and meaning that if you turn around, then that room can come into being. In other words, you can only need to simulate the game when you're looking at aspects of the game. As if not, then you can just simply keep it unrendered and maybe just basic the 3D animations, like how before you make an animated character, you need to have it on the base model. You can just keep the base model until you turn around, and then you see their detailed and more descriptive and characterized outlook.
Okay, and lastly, for my last question, I asked, what time of day do you prefer to play horror games? And you answered differently to fighting games. You said daytime. Why is there a difference in fighting games and horror games?
Well, I suppose it's a matter of simplified. I don't actually play horror games, but if I had to pick, I think I'd pick daytime because I suppose it's because I find them a lot more. Well, in the case of horror games, it's that they're a bit of a unique kind of classification because other than most games and most escapism exports of escapism, that's presenting with a world essentially that you want to go into, but you don't want to stay essentially. So I always find it much more appealing when you're able to remind yourself that this isn't the current reality really.
Okay, thank you. That's the end.